Good idea.
Welcome to Morley Myers Studio and Gallery. We're in the process of setting up our Easter art tour show. And Gillian McConnell is setting up and shooting her work at the moment, which is the 2D work on the wall that I'm shooting right now for you. I'm going to have Gillian talk about these pieces in just a second, so she can tell you exactly what you're looking at. So we have her. Gillian, what have you done here?
Well, I broke my arm skiing about 12 weeks ago and realized that I wasn't going to be able to do much with my right arm. I am right-handed, so I thought, okay, well, what can I do? I could try painting with my left hand, see what happens. I had tried it before, just often taught that as well to my art students, and thought, oh, well, I'm put in a situation now where I have no choice. And sometimes having no choice can produce really interesting results. So I just started painting with my left hand to see what would happen. And just the very act of using a different arm and not having fine motor control produced work that is not necessarily typical of what I would normally do. I work a lot with geometric shapes, but not such loose organic ones as these.
Can you talk to each one of these pieces individually for a moment?
Sure. I started out, I just wanted to have fun with some media that's really quick and easy. This one here is done, most of these actually, the black in them is black acrylic ink rather than paint. It has a really nice fluid quality to work with. I really like it. And they've all got, this one has some pastel. It's kind of a water-soluble pastel plus some oil pastel in it as well, because I wanted to be able to work quickly. And there was no point in using something I couldn't control with my right hand. So.
And now this piece here, we can talk about the emotion in the work as well, if you want to address that.
This one, a few of these I did on top of other paintings that I'd started that I wasn't really happy with, and I dragged them out and started painting on top of them. So this one's got a lot of layers of stuff going on underneath. And it was a fun process of just obliterating some bits, leaving some bits showing, and then seeing what would eventuate with that. And playing around with adding little bits of color and then seeing what would happen if I, again, crossed some things out and deleted things. From an emotional point of view, I think these works, it's nothing conscious that I was trying to work on, but I think the very act of being without a right arm to work with for a while kind of forced me to rethink, you know, just life stuff, you know, aging, the fact that bones break more easily. So I think a lot of these probably have some subconscious things coming up in them.
No doubt about that, by the looks of them. I enjoy the process as well. It reminds me of watching some of the footage of Picasso painting some of his work, which would be image upon image upon image, and eventually it's revealed. So this seems to me to be a very, very subliminal piece. What were you thinking here?
Well, it started out again on top of another piece that had some of these shapes in. So the triangular shapes up the top there, and some of these squiggles were kind of there underneath. And I kind of seem to be attracted to rock-type shapes at the moment. There's a lot of organic in the sense of stone, I guess, rather than things like trees and plants that are coming up in this. And I find there's something about those sort of shapes that feels very ancient and very grounded and somehow symbolic. They're shapes I have worked with in the past, paintings I did about 13 years ago when I was first starting to really use paint a lot. I was playing around with these sort of simple shapes, and it does have a kind of dreamlike quality. As you were mentioning before, kind of like a sleeping figure, and these are the dreams that are coming from the figure. And it's just like there's sometimes simple is better. There's something about simple shapes that can speak volumes.
Well, this is one of those. Now, this next piece This to me is, I think, one of the most powerful pieces in the show.
This is the first one I did. When I picked up the paintbrush with the left hand and thought, what on earth am I going to do? I had a piece of watercolor paper that was that slight greenish color you see in the background. I used leftover paint. When I've got leftover paint, I don't like to waste it, so I get watercolor paper out and just put a color on the background so I'm not working on white. And I just pulled this sheet out and got out my black ink and thought, okay, got a big brush on the end of the stick because I wanted to teach that in a class. I thought I'd better try this myself. Got a piece of dowling, take the paintbrush to the end, stood back about 3 feet and thought, what'll happen if I just do this? And I wasn't attached to the outcome, and I think that really, really helps.
Right.
And I think that's probably true in any art form, no matter what medium, no matter the style, whether someone works representationally or abstractly. I think there is a real learning in not being attached to the outcome. If you can just let go and say, look, if it fails, it fails. If it works, it doesn't matter. Just enjoy the process.
Right.
Somehow the results just...
Well, this one works incredibly well. And then we, of this sized work, we have one last piece here.
Yeah, I'm working on 2 more pieces at the moment that are more along the lines of this one that have more subtle colors in them. And I've worked more with these subtle colors in the past, and it just feels a bit like this is part of the whole process of moving through from the pieces that are really stark and black and white into something more subtle. It seems to be coming with the longer it's been since I broke my arm,
right.
And the process of that healing and having certain movement control come back in the right arm.
Well, it's certainly much more peaceful than the other pieces. And now the large piece. Let's have a look at this. And you can.
This is an old piece.
I'm going to have a hard time.
2003. I was doing a series of, I was playing around with the idea of taking collages.
Okay.
This piece here that's adhered to the painting surface is a small collage that was cut out of a great big one. I used to do collage just as a creative process. And I cut collages apart to make smaller, interesting compositions. And I really loved this collage composition, and then I just got the idea of what would it be like to just take it and blow it up really, really big. And I had a teacher in an art workshop who suggested to me to stick the collage on the painting when I finished, and it worked really well for a few pieces. And I thought with this one, it just seemed to be the final statement on the piece. This was probably one of the early pieces where I really just let loose, used really big paint brushes. I painted this, the 3 panels actually on the floor, and had a great deal of fun doing it, and I really do like to work in this size.
Right, well, no, it's wonderful.
I'd like to do more things this size.
I love it.
A bit of limitation in space in my studio, but in the summertime there's no reason why I couldn't do it outside.
Well, you'll be able to see this work at Morley Myers Studio and Gallery on Salt Spring Island. It's going to be up for April and May for the Easter Art Tour. So come on by or stop by morleymyersgallery.com. Thank you very much.